Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your KITS webinar Wednesday, and most importantly, happy first day of summer. My name is Franklin. I'm the Product App Specialist for KITS and your webinar host. Here we show you the tips and tricks to becoming that supercharged power user. All right. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to explore how we can provide pricing and estimation using KITS. This is going to be again another look at various pricing methods that you may already are used to doing in in your daily process. We're going to look at how you can actually apply that to KITS, as well as providing your client with some bulk and global estimations. All right, so Julie will fill you in on the details.
All right, so for today's agenda, we're going to be going over pricing, which is configuring pricing at all levels. So we'll deal with price zones, upcharging, those discounts, also bulk pricing. And remember, price zones differ between manufacturers as they may provide price changes based on catalog periods or to indicate US or Canadian pricing. So if you're not familiar with the price zones for manufacturer, you can always contact your manufacturer rep for more information. Also, we're going to be looking at creating those estimations. So that's the project quick sheet, what you can add and hide with a quick sheet, and what you can send to your customer. So we always throw in an opportunity for the webinar. Franklin has created his layout and is about to dive into providing the client with project estimations. So Franklin, let's get started.
All right, thanks a lot, Julia. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go into my KITS mobile tool. And here is the first project, or here's the project that I'll be providing my client pricing with. So I already have it pre-created. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to edit the original copy. So I'm going to go ahead and create a copy of this. So this is a great best practice tip to take in. Whenever you create any of your projects, if you require to do multiple iterations for your client, best thing to do is create copies of that so that you don't edit the original, and that you can provide your client with as many changes, and then always revert back to any past copies you've created. So this is a good way of organizing. Once you have that, you can go through what we normally do, and that's to create a folder. And you can create your folder so that you have the copies of the project belonging to one folder, okay? And here I can change that to indicating the project. All right. Again, we have a few webinars that describe or show you how to organize your projects in this manner. So please visit the Knowledge Center and take a look at a few of the actual video recordings that we have there set for you. Okay, so I'm going to go into my copy and tap on the image. So here's the project that we've created for the client. Now, what we need to provide the client is some pricing and estimations. Now, there are various ways we can actually do this. So the first option is I can provide my client with a rough estimation by providing a global discount against the entire project itself. And how do I do that? First thing you'll need to do is go into the share icon by tapping on it. That's just this icon up here. And then you're going to go ahead and tap on Create Quick Sheet. Okay. So here we have our quick sheet, and on the right-hand side of the quick sheet, we have the nice PDF that's been created that indicates the entire project, line item, as well as pricing. So what I want to do is, again, I want to provide my client with a great rendering as well as a quick estimation as to what this project will roughly cost. So in this case, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to provide my client with a project name. For instance, we're just going to call this the KISP office. And then I'm going to go ahead and tap on the visuals to see what kind of renderings I have created for this. Okay, so I'm going to give them my best rendering, as well as what I'm going to now do is provide them with a bulk discount. And here I'm going to go ahead and turn that discount switch on. And then under List Less, I'm going to provide them with a rough estimation of what the pricing is going to be, and that's going to be a list less of 50%. Now again, remember, this is a bulk discount that's taken against the entire project itself. So here you can see all my items, and at the very end, we also have the total list price less the discount of 50%, which gives us the total sell price, okay? Again, this is a very quick and dirty way of creating an estimation for your client, as well as providing them any kind of information that they require. And again, if you haven't used our quick sheets before, and in case you want to protect your bid, you can always choose what options you want to show them by selecting the control switches that you want to turn on or off. Here, we can remove discounting, thumbnails, options and finishes, leaving just item details, as well as the pricing and rendering of the project. Okay? If you want to include, if you don't want to include the item details, you can certainly turn that off. And what you're providing is one sheet with a rendering of a very rough estimation of the project. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Now, we know salespeople like to control what the client sees and doesn't see. So what you can do is you can also do this. You can also remove the option of seeing any kind of pricing. So you can see here, we're not seeing any kind of pricing. Then you can go into your custom cell line item. You can include a new label called project estimation. And then in there, you can provide the client with whatever that estimation is. Here, I'm just going to quickly put in a number. And now what the client gets is a project estimation at $16,500. So they don't see any kind of list pricing that's been provided by the manufacturer. As you can see, there's none here. I can even go into my item details, and I can include my item details. However, again, it does not provide any kind of pricing. We can go through all options and finishes, thumbnails, and since there's no pricing, there's no need to include discounting. But now you can see the type of bulk pricing I can create for my client. Not bulk pricing, the estimation I can provide my client, as well as showing them the details of the actual project. Okay, so that's step one into providing them some type of estimation with pricing. Okay, if you're satisfied with this, again, you can tap on send, and that will use the generic email that's default to your iPad. Here's the email that it'll create, the generic email. Here's the PDF at the bottom. All you have to do is make sure you add a recipient and send it off to your client. If you have an air printer, you can also print it to your air printer, or you can actually create a PDF if you have a PDF converter on your iPad as well. All right, so that's step one into creating a quick estimation for your project without showing your client also any kind of list pricing from the manufacturer. Now, step two. Step two is a little bit more in-depth, and this is to provide your client with a little bit more of a refined price. So for instance here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my catalog and I go into Allsteel, as this is an Allsteel project I'm working on. I'm going to go into Acuity, go into the work chair, all adjustable arms, mesh back with no cover, and I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these options here. Okay. There we go. So here I have a particular product that I may want to bring into my scene. Now, what I get again is the Add Item menu that is now as a submenu in the Scene Builder. But we have a nice image of the actual chair that we're looking at. We have some details of that, the same details that are found under this tab here, as well as the options and finish structure that we can provide the client. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and provide some option finishes here. And I'm just going to quickly select some specifications. All right, so you can see that the chair is complete, and I have a total number of 2402. That's the list price based on the specifications that have been created. What I want to do is I want to be able to simply do some refined pricing, some straightforward refined pricing by configuring the item's price. And you see here we have a link called Configure Price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tap on Configure Price, and that's going to bring up the Configure Price window, which allows me to make some changes to my project. So here you can see that I have my price zones, and if you're not familiar with what price zones are, again, what you can do is you can talk to your manufacturer rep to understand a little bit more of what they include in the price zones. Usually price zones will have to do with some older catalog pricing updates, as well as if, for instance, you're in Canada and you work with Canadian or French pricing, or if you have a U.S. and Canadian price catalog that you need to go through, it'll allow you to select which catalog you're required to use. Here you can see that Allsteel has some dated pricing all the way down to 2014. Okay, I'm going to leave the current price zone at the most current, so we'll leave it there. We're going to go back. All right, so straightforward. You can see I have a catalog list price, and so what I want to do is I want to provide my client with a very straightforward pricing scheme. In this case, what I'm going to do is I want to add an upcharge of 15%. Now, this is going to be the 15% that's going to be taken against the catalog list price. So if you have dealer pricing, we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a quick discount method here. And I'm going to add a list less of 45%. So what we get is basically the adjusted list price based on the 50% upcharge, and that's against the catalog list price. And then we've provided a discount, which is a list less against the list price, which gives us a new sell price of $1,519.26. Okay, so that's a very quick way of utilizing that particular price change at the item level. All right, you can also do a price change by double tapping on the item in the scene that you wish to work with. So in this case here, I'm going to double tap on that chair. And again, you can see all the same information, fully specified chair, which also provides me with a list price of $2,127. All right. Now, for those of you that work on some type of dealer pricing, for instance, we had a client that contacted us and had asked us, well, the manufacturer usually provides me 50-10-10. So how do I include that type of discount method, as well as adding a 25% upcharge to the dealer list price that I get? So this is how you do it. Again, we're going to go into configure price. What you'll have to do is you'll have to manually calculate what that 50-10-10 discount is going to mean. Now, if you're not familiar with what 50-10-10 is, that's literally you taking the list price of the actual item and discounting it 50%, and then discounting it again another 10%, and then another 10% again. Okay, it's not 50 plus 10 plus 10, which is 70%. It's not that. It's 50%, whatever the total is, less 10%, whatever the total is there, and then again less 10%. All right, so you'll have to figure out what that discount method is. And for instance, for what we're doing here, I know that gives me a rough discount percentage of roughly about 59.5%. Okay, so in the discount percentage here, I'm going to indicate 59.5%. All right, that gets me to a sell price at $861.44. Now, I want to add a 25% upcharge to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to pricing method, and I'm going to add a list plus. Here I'm going to include 25%. So what I get now is a total sell price of $1,076.79. Okay, so that's one way of applying, again, that same kind of discount structure. Now, we also had that same client come back to us and mention, is it possible to add a gross margin? Now, as we all know, we're all salespeople here, gross margin against gross profit is a bit different, and the calculation is a bit different. So what I suggest you do in order to find out what that percentage is supposed to be, what you can do is you can go online and you can use one of the gross profit margin calculators that are out there, so you don't have to do any manual calculations, and you can put up your results. Basically, it's going to ask you what the cost price is against what the total revenue price is going to be. So you can actually find that all out. Here, I know that that gives me roughly a 33.33% upcharge, or in this case, it's going to be a gross margin. So I'm going to add 33.33 in my discount structure, which then changes my total sell price at $1148.55. Okay, so why is there such a big difference between the first number and the second number? Is because the first number is an upcharge at 25%, where the second number is a gross margin of 25%. Okay, so what we're looking at is what you want to, is basically the line that you don't want to pass. So we know that we want to sell this chair no lower than $1148.55. This is the margin that we want to make. All right, anything above and beyond that is extra profit. You guys are salespeople. You can spin it any way you can in order to close that sale. All right. So if this is something that you're really interested in understanding a little bit more and how we can actually provide this in kits, if there's enough of a demand, what we can do is we can really take your considerations, especially if you've made comments regarding how you'd like to see pricing in the future in kits. These are all things that we like to take back to the dev team so that they can consider some of the newer changes for kits going forward. Now, just to step a little further back, we just want to make sure that you do understand that kits is a sales tool, and it's a visual sales tool at that. So there's a reason why we don't really get into the nitty-gritty of pricing, and that's because you could provide your client with that kind of refined pricing with the spec tool that you use to generate the POs and whatnots that you send out to your client. Okay. Again, it's always food for thought. If you're really interested in this, we can definitely look into this, possibly provide another webinar into all the various pricing methods that we can go through in kits. Okay. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change this upcharge back to 25%. All right. So now what we have here is we have the discount percentage, which gets us the dealer pricing, which was I believe it was $861.43, with the upcharge of 25%, which gives us a total percentage, total sell price of $1,076.79. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and apply that. So that's now applied to the chair. All right, so let's go on to the next estimation, the next price change, which is going to be how do I provide the client with a bulk price or bulk pricing at the item level against the entire project. Here what we did was, if I go to my list view, you can see what we did was we only provided that type of pricing for just the chairs. Okay, because there's a quantity of 4, they all belong on one line, they all get discounted the same way. What we want to do is we want to provide our client with a total discount against the entire project. That this is also going to include that 25% upcharge that we've created. What you can do is, if you have different discount allowances against certain catalogs, for instance, if your seating gets different discount than the regular furniture, what you can do is you can tap on all catalogs here, and you can select the specific catalog that you want to work in, okay, to provide that kind of bulk pricing. If your project is going to have one complete discount, and that's going to be the 50-10-10 plus the 25% that we've indicated, then what you can do is you can go ahead and select all the items that are found here in the list view. Okay, easy enough. All I have to do is select the radio button left of each item, or I can tap on the radio button left of the model here, of the model category, and what that does is it selects all the items found in my list view. Then what I'll need to do is go over here on the right-hand side and tap on Configure Prices. Once I tap on there, again, you see this familiar configure price window. This time you can see it doesn't provide any price zones, and the reason why it doesn't show price zone here is because it's quite possible that some of these items, maybe net new, don't have any price zone options to them. So that's the reason why it's not providing you that option. But in this case, it's allowing you to do a pricing method as well as a discount method. Here you can see that it indicates various as the result, and that's because what it's actually finding in kits currently is that there are various pricing discounts and upcharges that have already been provided in this, and that's because we've created one right here for the actual chair. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and tap on Configure Prices. I'm going to go into my pricing method. We already know that we want to add a 25% upcharge, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We add 25, there's 25%, and then we're going to go back into the discount method. Now again, I was able to calculate the discount being 59.5%, and that was 50-10-10. If you don't know how to do that, it's again, it's quite simple. All you have to do is multiply the actual list price times 50% times 10% times 10%. What that actually looks like is the list price times 0.5. Again, the total times 0.9, the total times 0.9. Okay, that gets you, again, a decimal of 0.405, which converts into a percentage of 59.5%. All right. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide that discount percentage, and I'm going to add the 59.5% to that, and now I'm going to tap on Apply. And look what happens. It now takes the entire project, and it applies the same pricing structure that we provided for the chairs. So now every item has an upcharge of 25% and has a discount of 50, 10, 10. Okay? I'm pretty satisfied with this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create another estimation. So I'm going to go back, tap on the share icon. I'm going to go ahead and create a quick sheet. And again, I'm going to place the information as I did before. In this case, this is the KISP office. We're going to select a wonderful rendering. This time I'm going to go ahead and pick one in white space. And here what we're going to do is I'm going to turn off my custom cell align item, and I'm going to show my list price here. Because what my list pricing is actually doing is it's showing me the pricing below. Here you can see that under my item details, I have discounting turned off. Let's turn that back on. And now you can see the full pricing structure of the project. Okay. Again, that's the 50-10-10 that has been applied with the 25% upcharge. All right. So that's how you can quickly create some simple estimations using kits. What you want to do again is if you need to protect this, then what you should do is turn off any features that you don't want to show your client. So again, that they don't get confused over looking at the pricing method that you've created for them. All right. Here it gives you a total price of $16,432.22. All right. Once you're satisfied with that, you can again convert that to a PDF if you have a PDF app on your iPad, or you can send it to an air printer, or you can send it through your email to your client using the generic email that's saved to your iPad. Now, if it's not your professional email, what we suggest is that you send it to your professional email so that you can actually send it off to your client correctly. And that's pretty much it. We've looked at all the different ways you can actually do pricing against your project, both at the global discount side as well as the item level side. So again, if you're interested in learning more about pricing discounts, let us know, and what we can do is we can definitely consider them going forward, possibly for our next webinar.